we call a two-a-day, just like going to the also Paul says in his letters to the churches, it's good for a young man to exercise his body, but it's better, even more so, to exercise one's mind in the Word of God. So, I thank the Lord, my shoulder that got injured from the fire department is feeling better, and not from surgery, not from medicine, from the earth, but just from simple faith and prayer to Jesus Christ. And so because of that, I got a nice pump in the gym, aka my garage, home. Maybe continue to read the Word of God to your fellow. Proverb is practical. It gives advice that is useful in the real world. Quote, a stitch in time saves 9, unquote. It should be applied. The reader should consider what changes he should make in his own life in light of the proverb. Quote, charity begins at home, unquote. A proverb is derived from astute observations about how life usually works. The creator of a proverb shows himself very knowledgeable and perceptive, able to see what is generally true and to draw conclusions from it. Quote, the pen is mightier than the sword, unquote. Give me a second here. In addition to all this, the Proverbs in the Book of Proverbs are also divinely inspired. Since they come from God, we know that they are true and we can be certain they are beneficial. Quote, he who heeds the word wisely will find good, and whoever trusts in the Lord, happy is he, unquote. See chapter 16, verse 20. Biblical Proverbs not only offer practical advice for this life, but also a guide to the reader to eternal life. Quote, the way of life winds upward for the wise, that he may turn away from hell below, unquote. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 24. Circumstances of writing. Author. Solomon is credited with the Proverbs in chapters 1 through 29. See chapter 1, verse 1, chapter 10, verse 1. There is biblical evidence that Solomon was wise and a collector of wise sayings. See Kings chapter 3, verse 5 through 14, Kings chapter 4, verse 29 through 34, Kings chapter 5, verse 7 and 12, Kings chapter 10, verse 2 through 3, Kings chapter 23 through 24, Kings chapter 11, verse 41. Chapters 1 through 24 may have been written down during his reign, 970 through 931 BC. The Proverbs in chapters 25 through 29 were Solomon's Proverbs collected by King Hezekiah, who reigned 715 through 687 BC. See chapter 25, verse 1. The last two chapters are accredited to Agor and Lemuel. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 1, and chapter 31, verse 1, about whom nothing else is known. An editor was inspired to collect the Proverbs of Solomon, Agar, and Lemuel into a book that we now have. The reign of Solomon represented the peak of prosperity for the nation of Israel. The period saw the greatest extent of the territory, and there was peace and international trade. 1 Kings chapter, people should make appropriate application of these truths to their Bible. They do not just entertain, they exhort, encourage the inexperienced to become wise rather than mockers, to be teachable rather than incorrigible. Ultimately, there is a close connection between wisdom and God. For example, of God, because God is the source of this inspired, godly advice, and because God is the one who guarantees the blessings that wisdom promises. The benefits of wisdom and of God are the same. What wisdom promises is what God grants. See chapter 4, verse 4 through 8. The Book of Proverbs is in the wisdom genre. Wisdom books convey the intelligent author's observations on the world and the people in it. However, without an inspired godly perspective, the world would be depressing and hopeless, as parts of Job and Ecclesiastes show. Ultimately, biblical wisdom is informed by and founded upon faith in God. The process of observation, contemplation, and inspiration can be seen in chapter 24, verse 30 through 34. After observing the deteriorated condition of, quote, the field of the lazy man, unquote, and, quote, the vineyard of the man devoid of understanding, unquote, Solomon contemplated what he was seeing and was inspired. Quote, when I saw it, I considered it well. I looked on it and received instruction, unquote. He either composed a new proverb or applied a familiar proverb to the situation. Quote, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, so shall your poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man, unquote. I say again, quote, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, so shall your poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man, unquote. Proverbs is written as Hebrew poetry. Hebrew poetry is terse and concise. It frequently employs imagery, and generally the second line complements or contrasts the thought of the first. Contemplating how the second line relates to the first is a profitable way to meditate on a proverb. In chapters 1 through 9, Solomon used imagery and sustained arguments to teach about the value of wisdom and the seduction of evil. In chapter 22, verse 17 through chapter 24, verse 34, there are sayings made up of several verses each. And in chapters 30 through 31, there are more sayings, including numerical sayings and an alphabetic acrostic in praise of a virtuous woman. In the rest of the book, each proverb is generally one verse. Some scholars argue that these individual proverbs are carefully arranged in groups and each should be interpreted in the context of its group. Other scholars view the collection as unsystematic, arguing that the immediate context seldom has any bearing on interpretation. In either case, it is important to interpret any single proverb in the context of the Book of Proverbs and of the Bible as a whole. For example, while chapter 21 verse 14 may seem to encourage bribery, the rest of the Book of Proverbs is clearly against it. Chapter 15 verse 27, as is the rest of the scripture. Example given is chapter 23 verse 8, as well as Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 7. Alright, here we go. Book of Proverbs from the Holy Bible, New King James Version. Chapter 1, the beginning of knowledge. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, King of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be a graceful ornament on your head, and chains about your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, quote, "Come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse." Unquote. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. The call of wisdom. Wisdom calls aloud outside. She raises her voice in the open square. She cries out in the chief concourses. At the openings of the gates in the city she speaks her words. Quote, "How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn at my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you, because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no one regarded. Because you disdained all my counsel, and would not have known of my rebuke. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terrors come. When your terrors come like a storm, and your destruction comes like a whirlwind. When distress and anguish comes upon you." Quote, "Then they will call on me, but I will not me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fears of sound wisdom for the upright. He is uprightly. He guards the paths of justice and preserves, deliver you from the way of evil. From the man who speaks perverse things, from those who will leave the paths of uprightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who will rejoice in doing evil, and delight in the perversity of the wicked, whose ways are crooked, and who are devious in their paths, to deliver you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters with her words, who forsakes the companion of her youth, and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house leads down to death, and her paths to the dead. None who go to her return, nor do they regain the paths of life. So you may walk in the way of goodness, and keep to the paths of righteousness. For the upright will dwell in the land, and the blameless will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the earth, and the unfaithful will be uprooted from it. Proverbs chapter 3, guidance for the young. My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. For length of days and long life and peace they will add to you. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on a tablet of your heart, and so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor detest his correction. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, just as a father the son, in whom he delights. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gains understanding. For her proceeds are better than the profits of silver, and her gain than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you may desire cannot compare with her. Length of days is in her right hand, in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and happy are all who retain her. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, by understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths were broken up, and clouds dropped down the dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck. Then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence, and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do so. Do not say to your neighbor, quote, go and come back, and tomorrow I will give it, unquote, when you have it with you. Do not devise evil against your neighbor, for he dwells by you for safety's sake. Do not strive with the man without cause, if he has done you no harm. Do not envy the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the perverse person is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret counsel is with the upright. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the just. Surely he scorns the scornful, but gives grace to the humble. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the legacy of fools. Proverbs chapter 4, security and wisdom. Hear, my children, the instruction of a father, and give attention to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Do not forsake my law. When I was my father's son, tender, and the only one in the sight of my mother, he also taught me, and said to me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commands, and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget, nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all your getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory she will deliver to you. Hear, my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of your life will be many. I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in right paths. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered. When you run, you will not stumble. Take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep her, for she is your life. Do not entertain the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. For they eat of the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is like the shining sun that shines ever brighter until the perfect day. The way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. My son, give attention to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not keep them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight ahead, and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet, and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Remove your foot from evil. Proverbs chapter 5, the peril of adultery. My son, pay attention to my wisdom, lend your ear to my understanding, that you may preserve discretion, that your lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of an immoral woman drip honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but in the end she is bitter as worm. Her steps lay hold of hell, lest you ponder her path of life. Her ways are unstable, you do not know them. Therefore hear me now, my children, far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the cruel one, lest aliens be filled with your wealth, and your labors go to the house of a foreigner, and you mourn at last, when your flesh and your body are consumed, and say, quote, how I have hated instruction, and my heart despised correction. I have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to those who instructed me. I was on the verge of total ruin in the midst of the assembly and congregation, unquote. Drink water from your own cistern, and running water from your own well. Should your fountains be dispersed abroad, streams of water in the streets, let them be only your own, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of your youth. As a loving deer and a graceful doe, let her breasts satisfy you at all times. I say again, let her breasts satisfy you at all times, and always be enraptured with her love. For why should you, my son, be enraptured by an immoral woman, and be embraced in the arms of a seductress? For the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. His own iniquities entrap the wicked man, and he is caught in the cords of his sin. He shall die for lack of instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. Proverbs chapter 6, dangerous promises. My son, if you become surety for your friend, if you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, you are snared by the words of your mouth. You are taken by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, and deliver yourself, for you have come into the hand of your friend. Go and humble yourself. Plead with your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. A worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. He winks with his eyes, he shuffles his feet, he points with his fingers. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continually. He sows discord. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deceives wicked plans, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among brethren. My son, keep your father's command, and do not forsake the law of your mother. Bind them continually upon your heart, tie them around your neck when you roam. They will lead you. When you sleep, they will keep you. And when you awake, they will speak with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light. Reproofs of instruction are the way of life, to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a seductress. Do not lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her allure you with her eyelids. For by means of a harlot, a man is reduced to a crust of bread. An adulteress will prey upon his precious life. Can a man take fire to his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be seared? So is he who goes in to his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her shall not be innocent. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is starving. Yet when he is found, he must restore 7-fold. He may have to give up all the substance of his house. Whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He who does so destroys his own soul. Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will be not wiped, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is a husband's fury, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased, though you give many gifts. Proverbs chapter 7. My son, keep my words and treasure my commands within you. Keep my commands and live, and my law as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, quote, you are my sister, unquote, and call understanding your nearest kin, that they may keep you from the immoral woman, from the seductress who flatters with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my lattice, and saw among the simple, I perceived among the youths, a young man devoid of understanding, passing along the street near her corner. And he took to the path of her house, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark of night. And there a woman met him, with the attire of a harlot, and a crafty heart. She was loud and rebellious, her feet would not stay at home. At times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, With an impudent face, she said to him, quote, I have peace offerings with me. Today I have paid my vows, so I came out to meet you, diligently to seek your face, and I have found you. I have spread my bed with tapestry, colored coverings of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He has taken a bag of money with him and will come home on the appointed day. With her enticing speech, she caused him to yield. With her flattering lips, she seduced him. Immediately, he went after her as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till an arrow struck his liver. As a bird hastens to the snare, he did not know it would cost his life. Now therefore listen to me, my children, pay attention to the words of my mouth. Do not let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths, for she has cast down many wounded, and all who were slain by her were strong men. Her house is the way to hell, descending to the chambers of death. Chapter 8 of the Book of Proverbs. The excellence of wisdom. Does not wisdom cry out, and understanding lift up her voice? She takes her stand on the top of the hill, beside the way where the paths meet. She cries out by the gates at the entry of the city, at the entrance of the doors. Quote, to you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O you simple ones, understand prudence, and you fools, be of an understanding heart. Listen, for I will speak of excellent things, and from the opening of my lips will come right things. For my mouth will speak truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are with righteousness. Nothing crooked or all the things one may desire cannot be compared with her. Hate evil, pride and arrogance, and the evil way, and the perverse mouth I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have justice. By me princes rule, and nobles, all the judges of the earth. I love those who love me, than choice silver. I traverse the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of justice, that I may cause those who love me to inherit wealth, that I may fill their treasuries. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I have been established from everlasting, from the beginning, before there was ever an earth. When there was no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills, I was brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth or the fields or the primal dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters would not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him as a master craftsman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in his inhabited world. And my delight was with the sons of men. Now Therefore listen to me, my children, for blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not disdain it. Blessed is the man who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoever finds me finds life, and obtains favor from the Lord. But he who sins against me wrongs his own soul. All those who hate me love death. Book of Proverbs, chapter 9, the way of wisdom. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her meat. She has mixed her wine. She has also furnished her table. She has sent out her maidens. She cries out from the highest places of the city. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. As for him who lacks understanding, she says to him, quote, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Forsake foolishness and live, and go in the way of understanding. Quote, he who corrects a scoffer gets shame for himself, and he who rebukes a wicked man only harms himself. Do not correct a scoffer, lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For by me your days will be multiplied, and your years of life will be added to you. If you are wise for yourself, and if you scoff, you will bear it alone. A foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knows places of the city, to call on those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn and hear. And as far, quote, whoever is simple, righteousness delivers from death. The Lord will not allow the righteous soul to for the back of him who is devoid of understanding. Wise people astray. Whoever hides hatred has lying lips. I spread slander is a fool. In the multitude of words, sin of the righteous is choice silver. The heart of the wicked is worth little. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for a lack of wisdom. The blessing of the Lord makes one. Evil is like sport to a fool, but a man of understanding righteous will be granted. When the whirlwind passes by, the wicked is no more, but the righteous has an everlasting foundation. As vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is the lazy man to those who send him. The fear of the Lord prolongs days, but the years of the wicked will be shortened. The hope of the righteous will be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked will perish. The way of the Lord is strength for the upright, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. The righteous will never be removed, but the wicked will not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, but the perverse tongue will be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked what is perverse. This concludes